Cameras flashed relentlessly as the world's brightest pop star walked into a small Los Angeles salon, sat in the chair, and shaved her head clean. Hours later. But what the tabloids never told us was that this image, the bald head, the umbrella, the meltdown, was only the tip of a much darker iceberg. Behind the headlines was a story of betrayal, pressure, and exploitation that had been building for years. How could a young woman who brought joy to millions be so ruthlessly consumed by the very system that celebrated her? At the very height of her fame, she was also at the peak of her vulnerability. Fame was supposed to be her crown, but instead, it became her cage. But with that encouragement came sacrifices, money was tight, and every audition meant hours of travel and uncertainty. Her big break came when she joined the Mickey Mouse Club in the early 1990s. And there was no turning back. In 1999, Britney's debut single, Baby One More Time, exploded onto the charts. The song wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural earthquake. The schoolgirl outfit. She was everywhere, on magazine covers, Pepsi commercials, sold-out tours. At just 21, she was one of the most powerful celebrities on the planet. But with global fame came suffocating pressure. Every smile, every outfit, every relationship was scrutinized under the public microscope. When Britney began dating Justin Timberlake. But when the relationship ended in 2002, the fairy tale collapsed. Justin's song Cry Me a River hinted at betrayal, painting Britney as the villain in their breakup. Tabloids devoured the narrative, while paparazzi chased her car down freeways, shouting insults just to capture a reaction. By 2006, cracks in her carefully constructed image were visible. The pressures of fame, combined with the collapse of her marriage to Federline, pushed her into a downward spiral. Custody battles over her children consumed her life, and the press documented every stumble, every tear. Britney Spears' career in the early 2000s was a glittering dream. She was adored worldwide, earning millions from tours, endorsements, and records. But while the spotlight made her a global icon, every family outing, every moment of exhaustion was captured, sold, and dissected. When her marriage to Federline collapsed in 2006, the world watched in shock as she walked into a salon and shaved her head bald. Hours later, she attacked a paparazzo's car with an umbrella. These moments became iconic images of her downfall. She was placed under a conservatorship controlled by her father, Jamie Spears. This was the turning point. Britney's life was no longer her own. She continued to perform, starring in tours, releasing albums, and even securing a Las Vegas residency, but the woman behind the glittering stage lights was trapped in a cage built by her own success. She was strong enough to carry entire shows, yet deemed too weak to decide how to live her life. The rise and fall of Britney Spears wasn't just a story of celebrity scandal. But what was supposed to be a short-term arrangement would last not weeks, not months, but more than 13 years. Under the conservatorship, Britney's father Jamie Spears. The situation seemed surreal. How could the same woman who was deemed too unwell to manage her life still headline world tours, record chart-topping albums, and rake in millions for the very people controlling her? Britney performed with dazzling energy on stage, all while living under restrictions that stripped her of autonomy. The contradiction was glaring, but for years, it was ignored. As time passed, troubling details began to leak. Reports claimed Britney was forced to take medications against her will. Allegedly, she was not allowed to remove her IUD despite wanting to have more children. Former staff members spoke out about the surveillance she endured, her phone calls monitored, her movements tracked. Sparked by concerns that Britney's conservatorship was less about protection and more about profit. What began as whispers on fan forums turned into a global outcry. But for advocates of legal reform, questioning how many others were trapped in similar arrangements without a voice. Finally, in November 2021, after months of hearings and mounting public pressure, and about the human right to self-determination, the darkest truth wasn't Britney's breakdown in 2007. It wasn't even the shaved head or the umbrella incident replayed endlessly on TV. At Hidden Fame, we believe Britney Spears' story is more than just another chapter in celebrity culture. It is a mirror reflecting the dangerous intersection of fame, exploitation, and control. Britney was marketed as a product, a perfect pop idol designed to generate billions for record labels, managers, and media empires. Secure Las Vegas residences and generate millions of dollars? The contradiction is staggering. It wasn't protection, it was exploitation. The conservatorship that was supposed to safeguard her became a tool of control, turning Britney into both a prisoner and a workhorse. Her story also exposes the cruelty of the media. For years, Britney's story challenges us to rethink how we view fame. It reminds us that celebrities are not untouchable icons, but human beings with real struggles. It forces us to question: how many other stars, hidden behind contracts and legal documents, are being silenced and exploited right now? At Hidden Fame, we don't just tell these stories to entertain. Her legacy is not defined by her downfall, but by her courage to rise again. Britney Spears' journey is more than the tale of a pop princess, it is the reflection of an entire generation's dreams, heartbreaks, and resilience. When music videos were events and stars felt untouchable, Britney's music is woven into our personal histories, making her story not just hers, but ours too. But behind the nostalgia lies the darker truth we can't forget. Britney's struggles remind us how fragile fame can be, and how merciless the world becomes when success turns to vulnerability. The cheers outside the courthouse weren't just for a pop star, they were for every person who has ever fought to be heard, respected, and free. Today, Britney stands as more than a pop princess. We remember not only the superstar who gave us music that defined an era, but also the woman who fought for her right to simply live. Some stories were never meant to be known. But now, you know.